Engine pulses, governor arm moves back and forth.
Hello, and thank you for choosing JustAnswer. I'll be helping you today and am committed to providing clear and concise answers to your question. Please locate the governor arm. It will be a lever at the side of your engine that the carburetor linkage is hooked to. When the engine is surging, hold the governor lever stationary using either your hand or pliers, making sure to exercise proper safety, since the engine will be hot. Please let me know whether the engine smooths out or continues surging. This will tell us how we need to proceed. Let me know please, and we'll continue. Since you mentioned cleaning the carburetor and that it's done this since new, let's use a working theory that it's an adjustment based upon predicted results to the test above. If this is the case, with the engine stopped, loosen the hardware holding the base of the governor arm and move the linkage and rotate the shaft as far as they will go toward wide open throttle. Hold them in place, then retighten the hardware. This puts the follower arm in firm contact with the governor spool inside the engine. The following illustration is not your engine, but the concept is exactly the same on all 4-cycle small engines of every brand. Keep me posted at this Deos and solve it please so we can look at other things. But this is the most likely.
I did what you suggested, both ideas. Neither method worked. When I held the governor stationary, it did smooth out but quit running.
I'm really sorry for the delay, but I was offline when your response came in, and with the holiday I hope this response isn't too late to be of help in your situation. This is often a plugged carburetor, so let's try this minor fix first. Please shut off the fuel or pinch the fuel line and have a container ready under the carburetor bowl. Remove the bowl nut and look in the bowl for any sediment or buildup. Clean it out. Be cautious not to knock the float loose. It's not major if you do, but there's no sense having to put more back together than necessary. The high-speed jet is likely plugged and is located in the bowl nut itself. It's a very small hole that meters the fuel going up to the throat of the carburetor. Spray it with carburetor cleaner and use some small soft wire like from a bread tie to make sure the passage is clear. Pay close attention to the small hole in the threaded area. Spray some carburetor cleaner up the center nozzle of the carburetor as well until it shoots out the throat of the carb. Bolt it back and try it again. Please let me know and we'll continue. Site guidelines require that I post all troubleshooting steps or partial answers as answers, but this may not be the final answer. Additional troubleshooting may be required. So please hold off on rating until we determine the exact problem. If this doesn't solve it, or if you need additional assistance in applying this answer to your specific situation, please use the reply to expert link so we can continue the discussion. Thank you.
Sorry I did not get back to you sooner. I did as you suggested and found a small amount of sediment in the bowl. I cleaned the jet and the small hole next to the threads. It ran somewhat better, but the governor still fluctuated. I installed this engine on a 1980 Vespa and piped the exhaust with 3/4 inch pipe with a round muffler. I thought this might be the problem, so I put the original muffler back on the engine. It seems to run smoother with no governor fluctuation. Could this be the main cause? I ran it this morning. There is still a very slight fluctuation from the governor and a popping sound from the muffler. The reason for my delay was my sister-in-law fell and broke her hip and wrist on Tuesday. Then I had to take my wife to the Cleveland Clinic for a minor procedure on Wednesday. I am very grateful for your help. Dick.
Hi Dick, really sorry to hear about the wife and sister-in-law. I know how that goes and hope both are doing well. Wrist and hip at the same time has to be pretty rough. The muffler could be a contributing factor if the back pressure is different than the stock one, so I would leave the original muffler in place for the duration of the troubleshooting, then swap it back out once the engine is running smooth. If the governor is now confirmed as adjusted properly, then we should be able to rule that out. But I'm suspecting you may still have a bit of plugging in the carb, and a deeper cleaning may be the answer to that. I'll post some cleaning info below that may be helpful. Is the float height properly adjusted to 11/64 of an inch? Are the O-rings in good shape and not degraded, causing a bit of plouging? All the gaskets, including the bowl gasket, in good shape? An old trick for checking for a leaking base gasket is to spray some carb cleaner or WD-40 around the base and see if it changes the way the engine runs. If it does, you have a leak. Carb cleaning info let me also say that the OHH60 is an emission-compliant engine, so the unfortunate reality is they often do not run smoothly at idle, but certainly should at full throttle. They lean out the carb to meet smog standards, and small engines are not equipped with any way of changing the fuel mixture, so there's a bit of a trade-off. The jets meter fuel to provide the right mixture at full throttle and full load. That said, some other areas to confirm would include the valve lash, so let's verify the setting. Intake, 0.004, exhaust, 0.004. The setting should be done on a cold engine with the piston at top, dead center, TDC, on the compression stroke. Start by removing the valve cover and spark plug. To identify the compression stroke, watch the valves open and close while you turn the crankshaft. After the exhaust valve closes, put your finger over the plug hole, and when you feel air coming out, you're on the compression stroke. Go really slow and look in the spark plug hole with a flashlight, and keep turning the shaft until you see the piston come all the way to the top. That's where you want the piston when you set the valve clearances. A little trick is to put a wooden dowel down the spark plug hole in contact with the piston head to easily see and measure its movement. It also doesn't matter whether you adjust the intake or exhaust valve first, as long as they both get adjusted. Use a feeler gauge to check/set the valve clearance. Loosen the lock nut or set screw on the rocker arm and adjust the clearance. The feeler gauge should move between the valve stem and the rocker arm with just slight resistance. Once it's correct, hold the adjuster stationary and retighten the lock nut or set screw. After tightening, recheck the clearance since it has a tendency to change when you do this. It may take a few tries to get it right. Then do the other valve and repeat the procedure. This is something that is really good to do once a year as part of your normal maintenance, along with oil filter, air filter, and fuel filter change. I would also double check the ignition module flywheel gap and confirm the key is in good shape. Even a slightly sheared flywheel key, enough to feel with a fingernail, can throw the timing off. The air gap between the flywheel and coil should be 0.0125 inches. Also, I would take the coil off and clean the connection points where the coil and engine meet with a bit of sandpaper, both the coil and the engine mounting posts, to be sure you are getting really good contact there. I'm not sure of the age of the engine. Did you see any carbon buildup in the muffler area? If you did, you might also have some carbon buildup on the head and valve, so it's possible a bit of cleaning in those areas and checking for proper valve seating with no erosion of either the seat or valve face. Keep me posted, please.
Thank you for all of the extra information. I did the spray test, and there was no change. I think the biggest problem was the muffler I installed. The original one had a baffle. It runs very smooth at high speed. I cannot thank you enough for your patience. Dick. I am very satisfied with the excellent service. The engine runs great. I have 9 small engines I use on my farm. I will use your service in the future if I have any more problems. Dick.
Thank you so much. So happy to hear it. Best of success with all your hands touch. And please remember that I can help you with all of your small engine and outdoor power equipment questions. I'm typically online most days. Please bookmark my profile here. Rick's profile Rick41428.65618824007.
If you have a home improvement or appliance question and want to chat with an expert now, visit JustAnswer.com/YTHI.